Hi, welcome to the channel this afternoon. I recently purchased this inexpensive LCR meter. Main interest was to be able to measure capacitors. So let's check it out and see how well it works. So first of all, here's what comes with it. Little screwdriver, 9-volt battery, test leads, and a pretty good manual. Some of the Chinese translation gets a little strange, but it's very understandable. And the meter itself, which has one really nice feature I like. Push this little button on top, you can raise the screen up, which means you can now have it laying on your bench while you're working on it and make a reading. Don't have to hold it. And of course it comes with the usual carrying case, which appears to be a little less flimsy than most. So now we're going to install the battery and show you how she looks. Alright, there you see the 100 picofarad capacitor. It's a Mauser unit. They guarantee 20% tolerance. This is what the meter's reading after I zeroed out the leads. So it's within 20% tolerance, what it's reading versus Mauser. In other words, it could be 120 puffs and be in tolerance. Now the other feature that you should be aware of is when you take these leads off. When I initially put the capacitor in there, we had a reading because of the leads. And what you do is you turn this little knob to zero out, and it is actually both ways. So there, and of course, you know, if you want to get really, really accurate, you can play with that. But watch this too, of course. If you move these around, you're going to get a little bit of difference. Regardless, my first check of this meter is it is accurate, as accurate as they claim. The other really nice feature of this thing, you push this little button here and it now holds the reading, and you can disconnect this thing. And of course it's still reading what it read. And the little square box up here indicates that you're on a hold situation. And of course that comes in handy if your hands are tied up perhaps, or you want to write it down for some reason and remember it. So that's so far so good with the capacitance. Alright, this is a salvaged coil from an old Heathkit DX35. It's a plate coil. Plate choke. I'm not sure what you'd call it. I guess plate choke. Anyway, according to the schematic, it's 2.2 microhenries. And when we look at the scale, we got 2.25 microhenries. And that's, so that's pretty close. And of course the thing's 50 years old, so who knows. Now, if I switch up to a higher scale, the reading's a little different. It's rounding off at a higher level. Switch it back down here, and it's reading a little bit low. You're trying to be very accurate at this point. So, with my very limited, almost non-existent knowledge of measuring coils with a meter, I would say this thing is useful for checking for inductance. Okay, and finally, we might as well check out the ohm meter portion. 100 ohm resistor, 5% tolerance, and it's reading 97 ohms. So So I think we can consider that in spec. So bottom line, I think for a hobbyist or a ham operator that likes to restore older equipment, this would be an adequate and useful addition to the ham shack. So with that, we'll say 7 threes. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a great evening.